Hi, this is Mark Wavell from Unstuck, and you found another Unstuck leadership moment. I remember the first Scrum team I was on, and a coworker and I came up with a really great idea, we thought anyway, for what we could do that would help the team as we were developing the software product we were working on. And I went to the product owner and talked to her about it and listed the things that we would do and some of the technical aspects. And I talked about how I'd even addressed this with some of the other team members, and they thought it was a good idea. And she was kind and listened, and honestly, it just felt like it didn't land, right? And it didn't resonate with her, and I wasn't communicating with her in a way that was helpful. It almost felt like we were talking, like two different languages. So I look back on that experience and I realized that in the meantime, I've gained some wisdom through more cuts and bruises and some things learned. I've learned how to speak product owner, and I'd like to share some of my ideas with you, and hopefully they can help you too. The first thing to realize is that we're trying to tune into what the product owner cares about. So we need to understand what the product owner does and what their role is. And a solid product owner is an investment manager. That is to say, they are making decisions about how to invest the team's efforts to maximize the value of the product for the customers. Just think about that. They're focused on customer benefit, and their investment vehicle is the team's efforts into the product. So that means they have to make decisions about how to invest the team's time, like do we do this next or later, or do we not do this at all? Or do we do this or do we do that next? Which thing is most important? Because they don't have an unlimited amount to invest. So you want to help them by giving them information that enables them to make those types of decisions more easily and really catch a vision for what they might be doing in order to benefit their customer. So those are the three key elements I want to talk about: benefit, investment, and time frame. If you speak to them in those three categories, it will help them a lot. Here are some questions that you will want to answer for your product owner. For benefit, how will the customer benefit? Or you can flip the coin over, depending on what you're talking about. What negative customer impact do we risk if we don't do this? You're going to want to talk then about which customers are benefiting, right? Who is it we're talking about here? And then to go a little deeper than that, also, how will you observe if they're getting that benefit? All right, so that's benefit. Second, investment. What size investment do we think is needed? In other words, how much time or money would be needed to do that? And then the third element is time frame. What's the difference between doing this now or later? That's also called cost of delay if you want to use fancy terms, and you can find a lot of good articles about that, but it's really just the concept of, hey, if we did it now, so what if we waited 6 months? And what would the difference be? What if we waited a year? So those are three key elements. If you talk about those, that will give the product owner the fodder they need to consider those things. The other key perspective I want you to think about is that a product owner is constantly thinking about trade-offs. Trade-offs. Do we do this or do we do that? And what trade-offs might the product owner need to consider? If you want to engage them where they're at and how the way that they're thinking, you want to come with options and alternatives. Things like, we could do this larger investment and get this larger benefit, but it would take us longer. Or we could do this smaller investment, do it this way, right? And get a faster benefit, but a smaller one. You see how those also wrap in those same three key elements I was talking about earlier of benefit, investment, and time frame. Or maybe, something like we could do a small part of this now in this way. We could do the cheapest part, in other words, and then we could delay the larger part till later, maybe after we see how the small part goes, those types of things. Now, this type of approach opens up the possibility for a really creative collaborative conversation with the product owner, where they can consider how they can make the best investment decision and trade-off decisions to benefit the customers. And I really strongly urge you, especially if you are maybe a developer, if you're coming at it from the technical aspect of things, still think about it from these perspectives. Ultimately, how could this benefit the customer, and what do we think the investment is, and what's the time trade-off also? I'd love to hear from you too. Do you have other ideas of how to speak product owner? Maybe you're a product owner and you can give us some hints from your perspective. Or maybe you have some different challenges. Just leave them in the comments of this video or send me an email, mark@unstuckagile.com. Hey, thanks for watching.